This episode of Goosebumps Crew is sponsored by Stevie Wicks Candle Company, specializing in quality-made scented candles. Link in the description, but more on that later. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Goosebumps Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Vargas, also known as the Goosebumps channel on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And once again, I'm joined by my Goosebumps cohorts, Nick Shawin, Goosebumps Odyssey fan Bjorn Panwick, and Micah, the ultimate Goosebumps man. And we're very excited to be here tonight because we have a special episode in store for you. We are talking with two folks who are involved with something that we've talked about many times on the podcast. Trick or Treat Studios has been the people that have been making such incredible, not just Goosebumps products, but horror movie masks, props, costumes, you name it. They are the premier horror prop makers. In my humble opinion, they are the best out there. And we got two folks from Trick or Treat Studios here tonight. We have Chris and Sam here tonight to talk with us a little bit about them. Chris, Sam, welcome to the Goosebumps Crew, and thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, pleasure being here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And so usually we do the Goosebumps World segment, news from the Goosebumps world, but since there is no Goosebumps news this week, we're just going to jump right into discussion. And I think the best place to start out is kind of get a little background from you guys on how you guys gotten involved with Trick or Treat Studios and how you guys managed to make so many wonderful products. So if you guys can give us a little background.
Well, I got involved with it because I created it.
That is true.
Yeah, with help of my friend Justin Mabry, who's our co-founder and VP of art direction. And it kind of started, I was burnt out on my corporate America job, and I knew the place that I was at was about to have some layoffs, and I reported directly to CFO of this company. So I called Justin and asked him if he wanted to start a mask company, kind of in the vein of Dom Post Studios, Distortions Unlimited. And Justin said, well, I have a mask company, which he did, called Night Owl, but I mean, he was doing all the work. And so I was like, no, I'm talking about getting your art out to the masses. And then we would launch into other segments like costumes, collectibles, action figures, tabletop games. We kind of had it all mapped out, and he said yes. So I went home and told my wife that I was quitting and taking our severance money from the company I was at and house money to start Trick or Treat. And then we had our first trade show, and I believe we had something like 12 masks in Chicago. It actually was a horrible show, but someone talked me into going to Trans World. And the first day, people came by, but they thought the masks were like hundreds of dollars. So I went to those, and I printed up these prices and stuck them under the mask, big signs. And there were lines to get into the booth after that. And that kind of fired off on everything. And then we started to get into licensing. But even our first catalog had Eric Pigger's Toxic Tune, so we always had licensing as part of it. As far as Sam is concerned, he was really good friends with Justin, and I knew Sam briefly from like hellos at Monster Palooza, and I loved his company that he had, Monsters Are Good. And he was actually working for one of our competitors. And Justin and I lured him over because, I mean, he does the best package design and marketing in this industry. And, so all the boxes that you see things in, the tags, those are all Sam. And thankfully he's joined, how many years ago now?
6.
Jesus. Yeah. And we've been going since what, 09? Is that right?
End of 09, beginning of 010, of 2010.
My God. I think I had hair then. And I was 6'2", and I'm 5'5" now. So, but yeah, and then Sam, if you kind of want to talk about I don't know if I accurately kind of said the progression of you joining us. Also, Sam's a huge Goosebumps fan too, so.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, Chris is right. I was working for another company, a competitor, and I was just a Trick or Treat Studios fan at that point, and I was so excited to talk to them about all the cool stuff that they were getting to do that the company I was working for would never touch. And I ran up to them at a trade show and just started talking to them, and here we are now. So that's kind of the progression of that. But my progression at the company has been a pretty awesome one too, where I got brought in for a position that was literally only about 20 hours a week. And then it's progressed far enough where now I head up product development with Justin, the other owner of the company. So me and him sit down, we make all the line plans for like what products we're going to do this year and who's going to make them and where we're going to put them. And that's been kind of
And you have a team.
Yeah.
Sam
So
runs our office in Massachusetts.
Yeah, so this is we're the East Coast team. We're Trick or Treat Studios East. It's all the marketing, any physical, like any public facing media comes out of us. So like any of the video ads, any of the print ads, any of that stuff, it's all the photography is all done here.
That's awesome.
See, that's cool because I actually didn't know that. I mean, I knew Trick or Treat Studios is primarily, based in California, and I kind of thought all of it was over there. So it's really neat to hear that there's actually an East Coast.
Yeah, we actually have a couple offices. Honestly, we've got Santa Cruz as the corporate office, and we have a 40,000 square foot warehouse here, and most of the sales team is here. Design is in Los Angeles, where Justin has an office, and in Dallas, where Alex is. And then there's Massachusetts, Sam, for marketing and package design. Then there's Maryland for our finance accounting department. And then we've got another sales kind of segment in New York and in Mexico.
Wow.
Oh, nice. You just have to open up one in Australia.
Yeah. I love Australia, although my favorite place on the planet is your neighbor, New Zealand.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's actually where I'm from originally. That's where I discovered Goosebumps.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what a fantastic country. I adore it there.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful.
I would love to take my last breath there.
That's a good
beautiful place. Definitely to grow up. I mean, I grew up there through all my young years, and anytime I go back to visit family, like it's home for me. Like I live in Australia, but New Zealand is definitely still home for me. Definitely.
It's an easy flight for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's only about 3-ish hours, depending.
She must be on the other side of Australia.
Yeah.
What part of Australia? Christchurch side or the Southern Island?
Christchurch. Well, from Auckland. So I grew up in a town called Howick.
Yeah.
And it's just such a beautiful place. Like,
amazing.
every time I go back, I never want to leave when I go back.
No, me neither. Yeah. And I love Queenstown. And there's a huge haunted house and horror shop there that carries our stuff in Queenstown.
Is it called Spookers?
Yeah, it's like a haunted walkthrough attraction.
Yeah, Spookers. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. So they stock a lot of your merch there.
Yeah, tons of it. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Too. Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is so great.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places that now carry Trick or Treat Studios masks, and I mean, from what started as an independent company has grown to be this mass producer of Halloween masks that you find everywhere now. And you guys have gotten to partner with so many companies, and once you guys got into licensing, you guys were able to make so many masks for so many movies, TV shows, even outside of that, like all sorts of stuff, and it's absolutely incredible. It's actually
I had a
funny.
lot of contacts, believe it or not, because my background, my family was all in the motion picture business, so I had a lot of those contacts.
Yeah, and earlier you were mentioning Don Post Studios, and if I'm not mistaken, you actually got to work in conjunction with them within the last few years.
We own them. We own it. So I did so for Don Post, which I mean literally was what Justin and I kind of modeled the company around. Was bought by Paper Magic, and then that division was purchased by Jemmy, and I think Jimmy went in a different direction. They were more into the inflatables, and they essentially closed the doors of Don Post Studios. So I had initially came to them to try and purchase the company, but the price didn't kind of fit given what they had in terms of the physical assets. But then I went back to it a couple years later, and Don Post is kind of on our advisory board. So I still we still wanted to get it. So we were able to finally work out a deal, and we got a number of the Paper Magic assets. So in addition to Don Post, Elusive Concepts, Bayshore, Topstone, and the Great Cover Up came as well. So, and we're bringing back a lot of that stuff now. This catalog was really the first one where we had like the introduction of bringing back some of those amazing sculpts, and we were able to find a lot of the original molds and toolings throughout throughout the country, throughout China, Mexico, and Kentucky. So those are 3 countries there. I'm being sarcastic, but yeah. So and we recovered a large part of those assets. So the new products a lot of them are derived from those original molds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Mask Fest back in Indianapolis, and was talking to you there.
Yeah, I recognize you from there.
Yeah, and you were telling me, it was like, yeah, come on to the panel.
Oh, yeah.
And then when
did you go?
Like, oh yeah, I was sitting there.
Yeah.
My mind was blown when it was announced that you guys had not only bought Don Post, but then you showed pictures of how some of these molds looked and the rat pee.
Yeah.
You guys are going through to get those. I was like, oh my god.
We still have to dig through those because we're bringing them to California now, down to Los Angeles. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was really nice to have Don there, and I thought it was very interesting just for me to just listen to him.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller, and to learn all that, because there was a lot I didn't know what he was talking about. Like, it was amazing. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, they did a photo history book of Don Post Studios. I mean, the thing's that thick. So there's many years of history there.
Absolutely.
So it's nice to be able to bring it back, and both Sam, Justin, and I, we have so much love and affection for those that will do them justice for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely shows, and it definitely showed on Don's face too that he definitely felt like that was in great hands with you guys going forward. I mean, you could just see it on his face. He actually got emotional on stage a few times.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So it was a very, very good panel.
Cool. I'm glad you got to go.
Amazing experience.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
And I personally remember the first time I discovered you guys was back in 2016. And that was around the time that I started getting into the horror genre. I started watching horror movies. And the first horror movies I watched were of the Halloween series. So when I found, because over the years, before you guys came onto the scene, over the years, it was notorious that Michael Myers masks in stores looked nothing like they did in the movies. They were there. I mean, you could just look at Michael Myers Halloween mask and you'll find a plethora of low quality, horrible masks. One of my favorites is there's
a lot of them are horrifying.
They are pretty scary, but probably not for the right reasons.
Right. I mean, well, that's how I met Justin. His company. I mean, he was and is obviously. I mean, when they did the remake in 2018, he sculpted the mask. So he is, in my opinion, the best, Myers sculptor in the world. And so I collected so much of his stuff. So that's kind of how we met. And then he's a night owl, which was the name of his company. And I am a total night owl. So it was a perfect match because, you know, I could call him at 3 a.m, he'd pick up. So, and he'd
Absolutely.
be wide awake, just like me. So.
Well, and initially you had you had the original one, and I remember
Halloween 2 was
Halloween
the first
2,
one.
that was the first one, and I remember that was the first one I got. And then slowly but surely you started to make one for every film. So you had the original. Eventually you had the Don Post like sculpt, I believe. But then you had like Halloween 4 and 5 and 6, like for every movie, and it was just insane. But they looked so incredibly accurate, and it was incredible. And even like other like the Leatherface masks, like for all the Texas Chainsaw movies, or the Chucky dolls and the Chucky mask, like it was just it was insane seeing these things year after year with every new catalog. But it's just incredible, and it's just a testament to how hard you guys work to make these things like seriously well detailed and well done, and that's always been something that I admire.
Tried to do, you know, the most screen accurate, and in a lot of occasions actually use material at a, you know, finished at an affordable price. Like the last 3 Halloween movies, all of those toolings were derived from the screen used molds. So you really are getting a finished casting for, you know, $60-$70. I would have done anything for that when I was collecting Myers masks back in the 70s.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk a little bit about the Goosebumps collection you guys have. Now, if I remember correctly, you guys first released your Goosebumps line of masks in 2017, I believe. That was the collection of TV show replica mask, and then soon after would be the Slappy prop. Now, how did you guys get in conjunction with Scholastic to make officially licensed Goosebumps products?
Literally approach them. There's a number of license expos throughout the world, and we literally, you know, walked up and introduced ourselves to the Scholastic people, and then met with them a few months after and brokered those deals. That then switched over to Sony when the movie came out, the Jack Black movie. So Sony is really the main keeper of Goosebumps, and fortunately we have really good relationship with the head of licensing there. She's just a gem and has been really supportive.
Absolutely.
Because I know you guys lost the license for a while, and you know.
Well, I don't know if I would necessarily say we lost the license. What happened was there was a switch when they did the switch of ownership of of who was gonna. There was a couple years there where they had to figure out who was gonna do the licensing for it, and everybody was put on hold. And then Sony ultimately had it, and then, you know, I had to go through that channel, which is a little thicker layer, right? Scholastic, you know, there were like 4 or 5 people in the licensing department. At Sony, there's like 400 or 500. You know, so you've got to find the right. But Scholastic is still involved. It's a lot. They still do all of the approvals with Sony.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, around the time that the first line of masks were coming out, the first movie was already out, and the second one was on the way. So there was a lot of mishmashing around.
And there was a little time period there where they didn't want any product for the old stuff because of the pushing of the new stuff, which is, I understand it, you know, we get it, but you know, I think Sam and I would agree. I mean, my love for the property goes all the way back to the book covers.
Oh yes, and
they're the most iconic
so
interpretations.
When you guys couldn't do it because of the Sony film, everyone I spoke to in the community at the time was shattered, like absolutely shattered. and all Spirit Halloween brought out was like a singular Slappy costume. And it was like, come on, man. Like, you're going to take the licensing, do a bit more. Like, do a werewolf costume, do a pumpkin head costume, you know, do something more. All they brought out was a singular Slappy costume, adult size and kids size. And it was just so
I
heartbreaking.
remember it well.
But those masks.
The Spirit's credit, you know, they didn't continue with the license, but they have been very supportive of carrying our stuff and supporting the license. And that's been great. In fact, I think that I remember there was like a 1.5 year period where that haunted mask, that thing was going for like $300 to $500 on eBay.
Yeah, well, the Slappy prop. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find one of those now.
Upwards of 5, yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
I was lucky to get mine.
It's still rare. Hopefully we'll get this new one out soon. But Sam can tell you about a bunch of the new ones that we debuted at Halloween and Party Expo, because they're pretty sweet too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, those masks, like, oh dude, seriously blew me away how amazing they looked.
I remember when I don't know which of us was the first one to find out about those, but I know Nick was keeping track of when the catalog was dropping. But when the whole Goosebumps community, when that tease of those new 5 masks was dropped on Twitter and Instagram, the whole Goosebumps community just exploded. Like, it was everywhere for the next few days. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
For those blasts.
Yeah, it was like, but the thing is, they look incredible. They look exactly like the book covers, and that is, again, that's the attention to detail that makes Trick or Treat Studios so incredible to us, and especially us as Goosebumps fans, because this is the kind of stuff that we've wanted for years. And it's utterly incredible, and we're super excited for them.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to get them out.
But
what you're thinking? This stuff, the new Goosebumps stuff, it's scheduled for Halloween this year, correct?
Yep.
Ooh, perfect timing.
So is that?
And will they be? They'll be vinyl.
The mask?
Will they be vinyl, or are we doing injection on those?
Those are all vinyl.
Yeah. So vinyl is a cool material because vinyl will never rot.
Yep.
Yeah, vinyl's hard to tear and it never rots.
The thing with latex is that it will succumb to age and wear and tear.
And we made these inserts that go into the vinyl mask so they retain their shape, which was important to us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My mask up there has an insert I had to buy, but it helps keep its shape. But it is really important. But another thing we really liked, and I think, Nick, you were the one that pointed this out, is that the masks have... This was something that was done back in the 90s when they were making, like, those masks, like, way back when, is they have the Goosebumps splat on the back, and that's, like... That's awesome. Like, that makes it look like a genuine 90s Goosebumps product. And
genuine article.
when we were going into developing those, because we wanted to expand and refresh the Goosebumps line, we definitely, we were looking at those 90s vinyl masks that had come out previously. But I think the only two that could come out were the Haunted Mask and Curly.
Mm-hmm.
And
so there was one of the horror as well that came out in the 90s.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. It was, yeah.
Yeah, the horror and the Haunted Mask.
It's actually a much rarer one.
It's actually weird because the original Haunted Mask from that 90s line was, unlike Curly and the horror, it was actually based off the TV episode and not the book version. Which makes sense because, the TV show was out at the time, so they were probably trying to tie in with that, but it's kind of weird when you have 2 book ones and then 1 TV show one, because they're differently designed by different people, so they look a little different.
I'm most excited about the ones we showed at Toy Fair, the action figures.
Yes, the action figures too. Awesome. Those, wow, like, holy moly.
We've been clamoring for those for 30 years.
Yeah, we did something similar to what we did with the House of 1,000 Corpses line in order to get a collect 'em all element. each one comes with a piece of Curly, and then you can assemble him.
And A+ to you guys for bringing back Curly into the into the public
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah.
That guy.
I can't take credit for that. That's Sam and Justin.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
he
original
was
mascot.
all over the place in the 90s, and then he just disappeared, and they did not look back, and now he's coming back, and it's like, praise the
weird.
Lord.
It's weird because he's
Yeah.
actually very prominent in like Sony's assets for Goosebumps, but I just don't think anybody really thought to make any products with him. And it's like for me, I remember all the Goosebumps products that had Curly, and like he's got great color, it's a great design, and it's just kind of fun. And really, like, I mean, that's really what we're looking for with all of this stuff. So our 5-inch action figure collection, those, when we started developing that line, it's always been, we want it so you can collect them all. We want them to be affordable. We want them to be fun. We want them to feel genuine when it comes to like the nostalgia factor. Like, we don't want to be trying to do something and kind of missing the point. We want these to be something that will fit in with your vintage collectibles for sure.
Absolutely, and they
How
really
exciting.
do look like they could belong with the old Goosebumps products. I mean, they just look like that stuff that you would find in the store in the 90s. And that's the kind of stuff that we've wanted for years. I mean, the movie stuff, it's cool, but it doesn't have the pizzazz, I guess I would say,
Yeah.
of what 90s Goosebumps had. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, those products are just the action figures and the mask. Like, when we first saw them, we as a collective were just like, thank you guys. Thank you
Oh.
for keeping
Yeah.
that alive. Like, seriously.
So when,
And like,
so when I was at Days of the Dead, Chris showed me on his phone. He was like, have you seen the figures we're doing? I'm like, no. I was like, I've not even heard of it. So, like, I'm pretty sure my daughter, who was with me, got really annoyed on the car ride home because I was so excited. I was talking about it the whole time, but she'll get over it. But it was really like so cool to see. And I think those were just painted prototypes at the time.
They were.
But the ones at Toy Fair, were those production ones or were those still prototype?
Those are still prototypes, but
Okay.
I do just want to take a second too, because like I'd be remiss to not bring up the brilliance of Alex Ray. So
Yeah, who sculpted them?
Alex's first project with Trick or Treat Studios was the Haunted Mask from the original line,
The latex.
the latex version. So
Yeah.
so what happened was Trick or Treat Studios got the license. Justin saw that this guy was making haunted masks, and they looked great, and he was so he was like, well, and this is one of those things that Chris and Justin have always been really awesome about, is that if they see somebody who's doing a really good job out there, they'll give them the opportunity to work with us and put it out officially. So Justin reached out to Alex, and then that was the first one of his that got into the line, and eventually Alex was our first full-time on staff sculptor, but he is like such a big Goosebumps fan, and so he's been like, this has been like a dream for him to get to work on, but he's so much of the creative behind those particular products. He sculpted all of them, so he did all the figures and he did those masks as well, and
Even the new ones, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it
So,
makes sense for a
yeah,
Goosebumps fan to make Goosebumps products, because you can't get
Yeah.
any more accurate than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
20
I followed Alex,
20
like before he
years.
joined TOTS, and I remember those masks. And actually, Bjorn has the mask from him that he did before joining you guys. And I've actually been talking to him lately. I'm like, hey, I was like, you want to come on the podcast at some point? Just because I know from posts he shares and his prior works, yeah, he's a huge Goosebumps fan. And I was more than excited when I saw his sculpt with you guys. I was like, I'm sure he was blown away at the time too, to be recognized like that from a company like you guys. And ever since then, he's
Yeah.
just knocked it out of the park with everything he's done.
he is
Um,
truly incredible, and he never ceases to amaze me with the stuff that he pulls out. But we've already sat down, and he has full lists of the second, third, and fourth, and fifth hypothetical waves of figures that he wants to do. So, we're hoping that we'll be able to do a lot more Goosebumps stuff coming up.
Sam, when do you think those are going to street?
So all the factories are closed right now. We are
China New Year, that's why.
Yeah, Chinese New Year. And so my goal for them is probably end of summer.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's for the figures, right?
Yep.
Or is that for figures and masks?
That's for the kind of both, because
they'll both hit around then.
Yeah, because masks, all the Halloween stuff, anything that's kind of a seasonal item, we aim to get in by the end of summer, beginning of fall, because that's when we have to ship them to all the stores and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully like late summer.
Okay, cool. So when can we possibly expect pre-orders to go up?
Once I get completed samples, that's when we start talking that stuff.
Yeah, that's something that's important, because we want to make sure people see what they actually look like. Although, knowing what the prototypes look like of a lot of our other action figures and then seeing the actual production, I mean, they're either spot on or the production actually looks even better.
We're getting ready here. We're going to do the pre-orders for this guy pretty soon, but here's the
That's Dr. Killamoff, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty neat. That's awesome.
I look at this one all the time. I mean, the detail on this thing is just great.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the scale that they'll be at. And you can see too, there's the arm for Tiny's there, because he has a Build-A-Figure element too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that element to those. I love like when action figures have that element where you can buy them all and then there's an extra piece for another figure, so you have that reward for collecting them all. Like that's a great incentive. Yeah,
for sure. And that kind of arcs back to like me and Justin's childhood. Especially like in the Star Wars, you could cut out the UPCs and mail them, and you could get the Emperor and then other build them all type. We're really inspired by like late 70s, 80s figure design. I'm not a huge fan of the movable legs, because they always look like they have diapers.
That's my problem with NECA figures, at least certain types of NECA figures, because they do have the movable feet, but not only do they look like that, but the feet are not big enough to really like stand on their own. So if you don't have them positioned in a specific way, they're going down. So,
yeah.
But
but we were more of a fan of like the like the kind of He-Man-ish era, the Rambo figures, those kind of designs, and then a lot of the movie Maniac stuff. We really kind of like that design.
Yeah, I love the movement, and I like that you guys are doing those kind of looks with the 8-inch line. When I saw Pumpkinhead,
he's awesome. That thing is so good. Yeah, when you see it in person, it's crazy. It's almost translucent. Yeah,
wow.
It's really cool. I'm excited, really excited about that one. And a lot of them, and that one comes, I think it come with the stand, doesn't it, Sam?
That one does, yeah. I think what I saw, the videos at least, like Mad About Horror. That's how I've like got all my feed from Halloween Expo with you guys that day.
Oh yeah, she's really active. Does a lot of videoing, and also Nightmare Toys. They do a lot of videos, and
yeah, I was looking at Christie's too to get all those images and stuff. And we found out about the splat on the back was, I think, from Mad About Horrors, when I think you took the mummy mask off there, Sam, and showed the back. And I had a screenshot that I was like, no way.
That is cool. Well, and the best part about these new masks and figures is that they are super accurate to the Tim Jacobus artwork, which in and of itself is super iconic. And now you get to have these figurines that look exactly like them. And that's just like, it's every Goosebumps fan's dream, is to have something that looks as awesome as those. We didn't even get that back in the 90s.
Yeah,
so
I mean, the artwork was spectacular.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and
All
hope to see more.
25 years of collecting 25 years of collecting Goosebumps, like, honestly, this is the most exciting thing to come out. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are like heroes to me, you know? Like, it's just insane. You know, 25 years I've been collecting this.
Probably
stuff,
not a hero to my wallet, but to us.
Yeah.
But
For us
Well,
Goosebumps
you gotta
fans,
spend
it's
it on.
true.
You gotta spend it on something, right?
well, I'd rather spend
Oh,
it on
exactly.
Goosebumps
You should
stuff.
see my tabletop gaming collection.
I have in one of the videos actually. I think it was Sean going through the tour. I can't remember
Oh
what
yeah,
video it was.
yeah.
One of them
A lot of
showed-
people saw that. I should have worn my hat, man. I was looking extraordinarily bald in that video. But yeah, no, I think the tabletop gaming collection is probably, I'm looking at it right now. I've inventoried it. I think we're 2,140.
Wow.
That's
Ridiculous.
incredible.
Yeah, but you know, that's a very interesting industry. I mean, a lot of like the designer, really good tabletop games, you know, they're only printing usually like 3,000 to 5,000 the first run, and if it doesn't do well, it might never see another day. So that's kind of why, you know, and I collect the designers. Goosebumps is definitely something that I might explore in the tabletop gaming space.
Which would be awesome because actually there's been a couple of games in the past couple of years. Actually, one just released at the end of last year.
Right up there.
It was called Goosebumps the Game, but there's not been a tabletop, true tabletop game. It was more like a kid's adventure board game kind of a deal.
Yeah, like roll and move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
No, I would, you know, get one of our really top designers on it and do something that's really story driven.
Yeah, that'd be
That
awesome.
would be,
I mean,
that'd be cool.
like we said, the kind of Goosebumps board games we've got have kind of been the same over the years. Just
They're
like
kind of roll and move, where you've kind of slap an IP on an existing mechanic.
exactly, and they're okay, but you know, it doesn't really distinguish itself from really any other kids board game. So like something.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the goals in the tabletop game division. We have original designs, but we also wanted to do licensed games that people would actually like.
Mm-hmm. Like very recently, you guys did the Texas Chainsaw. You have the Texas Chainsaw board game.
That one, my favorite is the Halloween game that Emerson Matsuuchi did, because I really think it invokes the tension of the film, because it's a hidden movement game. One player's Myers, and they know where you are, and they know where Myers is, but the players do not, unless they cross his sight line or he attacks them. So it keeps that tension throughout the whole game, and it really worked. I was a huge fan of Emerson Matsuuchi. He did a hidden movement game called Spectre Ops, and I was like, this would be a kick-ass mechanic if you turned it around and had the hidden person be Michael. This would be a really cool game.
It's an excellent
We're also
concept.
got a really cool game for House of a Thousand Corpses coming out. Just, I know it's not a Goosebumps story, but I thought it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah.
When I was talking to Rob about it, I was like, we could go in one of two directions. We could do it where you're the kids trying to get out of the house and you know, get out, or we could be the villains, the Firefly family, trying to find the kids in the house and either kill them or take them to Dr. Satan before the cops arrive. Take a guess which one Rob won.
I was about to say that second one sounds a lot more fun.
Absolutely the latter. And it's cooperative, but there's also, you know, table arguments that happen between the characters, so it fits the movie perfectly. And Rob did the board for us, literally drew the board, because he knew the layout of that Firefly.
Rob Zombie?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Oh, wow.
That was cool.
That is amazing. No,
Something
and
I would really love to see in the tabletop. I would love to see a Nightmare game, a Nightmare on Elm Street game, because I'm a huge Nightmare Freddy Krueger fan.
Yeah, so would I, but unfortunately, it's not happening.
I figured.
Yeah,
that.
Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are in just a limbo state for merchandise.
Yeah,
We were
Yeah, I
very
heard that.
lucky to get out what we got out. We only had 6 months to do it before the lawsuit was gonna start, and then everything was frozen. But we did manage
wow.
to because of our acquisition of Elusive Concepts and Don Post, they had pre-approved Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy masks. In fact, the first ever Freddy mask. So we were able, and we found those molds, so we were able to re-release those because they were pre-approved in the late 80s.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How ironic that probably the two most iconic and biggest horror franchises of the 80s kind of died with the 80s, or at least the early 2000s if you count the
Yeah.
remakes.
Like, I mean, right now I know Nightmare, especially like we heard from like companies like Scream Factory. I've heard people who have reached out about a box set for the Nightmare movies, and they've said like Warner Bros is like holding that property captive because they consider it an active franchise, despite the fact that we haven't gotten a movie since 2010.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's just the rights, who owns what. So there's a lot of bickering over who owns what. And always remember that the distribution rights of the film, i.e. home video, is very different than the than the licensing rights of merchandise.
Yeah.
Right.
Products. So they're negotiated very differently, and they're under different terms. So it's I understand why it's bagged up, but yeah, unfortunately, I'd love to do a Nightmare on Elm Street game too, but I don't. It's not going to happen. Not for a long time,
Well,
if ever. I hope.
Hopefully,
God
I
knows if
mean,
it does, I'll be there.
these lawsuits
Yeah.
have been holding back the Freddy and Jason from really making a comeback, and that really stinks. But we still got Michael and Chucky and Leatherface and all those guys.
I want to see a Freddy vs. Chucky movie. I would love to
That'd
see
be
Freddy
cool.
vs.
Chucky versus
Chucky ends
Leprechaun.
up on Elm Street.
I mean,
Chucky
because
versus
Chucky and
Leprechaun,
Freddy have
that's-
such similar personalities. Like they would be perfect together. Both the comedic kind of one-liner
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
like
think that
the
could be fun.
Freddy
I
vs. Jason
think
movie. I thought that one was cool.
it kind of
should do-
stinks that there
yeah,
haven't
Buddy
been
Cop.
any more horror crossovers, and it was Freddy versus Jason, and I guess if you count Godzilla versus Kong, I kind of don't consider that horror, but
Well, there's Alien versus Predator as well.
yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
right too. But nothing besides Freddy versus Jason. Why no Michael Myers versus Leatherface, or I don't know. The
Well, they
door is
all get
open.
together in one movie. There's a big, massive, like all-out brawl between all of them.
Well, that would be a Wright's nightmare right there.
If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole, you can find the rejected scripts for other crossovers. One being Hellraiser and Halloween, which is it's something.
Well, there was even
know there was,
even the original script for Freddy vs. Jason actually ended with Freddy and Jason going to hell, and then they meet Pinhead, and he's like, "Gentlemen, what's the problem?" There was even a comic adaptation of that, and I think also Evil Dead. And then there was even a Freddy vs. Leatherface comic, I believe in the 90s or 2000s. It's pretty
I
cool.
have 'em.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I have 'em.
Jason versus Leatherface.
Yeah.
They did Jason, Freddy, and Army of Darkness as a comic. They did Reanimator and Army of Darkness as a comic.
They did Halloween as a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a crossover.
Not across.
Yeah, just a standalone Halloween. But it's cool how there's comic adaptations, but still no movies.
Halloween almost had two books that were kind of like teen that were, targeted towards the Goosebumps type crowd.
They were very
a buddy of mine.
I read them. They're not horrible.
No, they're not. And actually, a buddy of mine, his name's Sid. He runs a channel called Dr. Wolfiel. He actually did reviews on those books, and they're very good videos. But they are pretty good books, and they're pretty hard to come by, if I am not mistaken. But if you can get a hold of them.
Yeah, they're on eBay.
Yeah, but
I just remembered
200.
my favorite horror franchise of all time, The Grudge. There was actually a Sadako versus Kayako film. The Ring
definitely.
versus The Grudge.
Yeah,
They
'cause
did
it's
do that,
Japanese.
and I completely. How did I not remember that one? It's like my favorite franchise. is The Grudge. I absolutely love it. Well, other than Goosebumps, it's my favorite horror film franchise.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question
yeah.
for you guys.
Mhm.
What was your thought on the new Amazon series?
Oh, the Disney Plus series.
Yeah, the Disney Plus. Sorry.
We actually did a review in our first episode,
Ooh.
but a lot of us were not really keen of it. I mean, I was a little more forgiving of it because it had some things I liked in it, but I think the general consensus is it leaned a little too heavy into the teen drama. It wasn't really feeling like Goosebumps, except for a few references here and there and a few set pieces.
Yeah, so forgive me, I only watched the first one. Do they bring in like Slappy or any of the characters?
Yes, they do bring in Slappy, but that's about the extent. The Haunted Mask is nothing like the book or the initial TV show. It's actually a white mask, and it does stick on, but it like morphs your face, and it ends up looking like a golem-like creature. That was probably the biggest like thing that people targeted the show for us, because it's like does not look good. But Slappy does come in. He is probably the best part of the new show, but they do kind of change his backstory around. He's actually he is a dummy that is possessed, but it's possessed by the soul of a wizard. And the the penultimate episode, he's released back into his body, and then you never see the dummy again. It's just...
So do they go with that same story arc of the house and the basement throughout the entire series?
Yes,
just the first 8 episodes really go through
the
there,
first
but the
8
last 2
episodes
go on a completely different tangent.
Okay.
So
Yeah, 'cause it's...
I'm just trying to figure out, how did they bring Slappy into it?
I think they what they basically did is that the ghost kid, the ghost of the kid, basically found Slappy, and again, Slappy is a dummy that's possessed with this evil wizard, and this wizard's got his own wants, stuff he wants to do, and he basically uses this kid to kind of get what he wants, but then he dies, and so now he's kind of like doing his own thing, but then he kind of it's honestly gets pretty convoluted for a Goosebumps story, but
it wasn't based on any of the novels. I think that's maybe where it went awry, right? You've got
it was
source material.
It was mostly in name only.
Kind of like, I don't know if you ever read a comic book, which was one of my favorites, called The Preacher. They've done a couple, like they did a movie, and they've done a couple shows, and they're okay, but it's like you've got the entire series storyboarded in the comics. Just shoot that. It'll be great.
That's the problem with this show too, is they had episodes titled like "You Can't Scare Me," so you think the Mud Monster would be there.
And he's
no
not.
Mud Monster. The last
It's a snow-based episode.
Welcome to Horrorland is the last episode title.
No Horrorland.
There's no Horrorland, no horrors, nothing. It's
there's one called Give Yourself Goosebumps.
Clickbait.
There's nothing from the Give Yourself Goosebumps.
Like the first episode was called Say Cheese and Die, and you in a 45-minute episode you get 15 minutes with the camera at the end of it.
And it never comes back. It really never plays into anything.
Nothing from the first 4 episodes.
Ironically, one of the best episodes is actually based off what is, in my opinion, one of the worst books. Go Eat Worms is actually one of the best episodes of the show.
Yeah, that's funny.
Ironically, but yeah, that was the general consensus. It's basically Goosebumps in name only. It's not like the 90s show where it was an adaptation of individual books. It was just kind of, hey, remember Goosebumps? Well, we're going to take things from that and kind of make our own thing, and didn't really work. So, but, anyway.
The only general consensus for us was we all liked Slappy. We liked we thought the look of him was good. We thought the voice actor was good. But really that was about it as far as the show goes. I mean, Justin Long did a fantastic job though too, and Rachel Harris with their characters, but
I thought the actors
Is your t-shirt from Fright Rags?
It is.
Yeah. Ben is a good friend, and they do great shirts. I love their Goosebumps line.
And mine is from Creepy Co.
I keep at least a few times a year.
Too.
I reach out and I'm like, hey, are you going to get Goosebumps back? And he's like, we would like to. I'm not really sure why they don't. Actually, I found out cavity colors.
I think because, well, the minimum guarantees are pretty high.
Oh.
So he's got, you got to make sure that what you have will cover. Yeah, that's cool. What you have will cover, that minimum guarantee.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like when
think-
I posted an old advertisement of theirs on my Instagram, just saying, "Do you remember when Fright Rags had these?" People like blew my Instagram. That's probably the highest liked and commented one because they all thought it was coming back.
Yeah, you should share that with
They
Ben.
blew me up.
you
And
should
I was
share
like,
that with
you
Ben.
cursed it saying this is not new. I mean, it's an old ad. I was like, you just remember when they had these.
This is the Fright Rag shirt. It's from My Bloody Valentine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's an awesome movie. Well,
I'm gonna
anyway,
say the most,
See,
most exciting
I'm
thing.
not as big of a fan of My Bloody Valentine. I'm actually, and I think we talked about this too at one point, Chris, but I actually really like the movie Valentine, and I really like the cherub mask.
Yeah, the Cupid.
Probably
Yeah,
my-
I almost watched it last night with my wife, but we're gonna watch it this weekend because I'm reconsidering doing that for sure.
personally, I think
you
the
did
remake of My
definitely
Bloody
support that
Valentine is
movie.
actually pretty one of the horror remakes I actually personally enjoy.
Especially if you can see it in 3D.
Yes, it actually is a pretty good movie. It is a good
I
movie
have
that
it
does
on-
3D.
I have it on 3D with native glasses, so it's native 3D, and it's great. It's ridiculous. That's why it's so much fun.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
the 3D is like completely, blatant, right? Like we're throwing things at the camera. Like Friday, I still
Yeah.
say the best 3D horror movies ever. Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. It was so gimmicky. It was great with the 3D effects, and they finally came out with that in native 3D. And I always liked Jaws 3 in 3D
Mm-hmm.
because it was so gimmicky. And with like he attacks the dude and the arm is right in your face. Yeah, no, it's just,
Well,
And it's
the
so
one that everyone
good.
likes to pull up is when the shark comes through the glass and it's just like,
no, it's
"Eh."
spectacular. I mean, it's
Oh.
totally cheesy and lame, but it's so gimmicky on 3D. It's really fun.
It is a fun
Oh, and I
movie.
love Dennis Quaid. I love Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. Well,
And
anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say,
I was going to say, and
like,
the guy from Officer and a Gentleman was in it too. He ran the park.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that Lewitt Gossett Jr.? Was that
I
his name?
think so. I
Louis
think
Gossett
that's his name. I'll have to
Yeah.
check. But no, I mean that's everybody talks about like Jaws 3 is so bad. I'm like, but I like it. It's
It's
not
good.
it's not a
It's
good
fun.
movie,
Yeah.
but it's a
3D.
fun movie.
If you see it in 3D, it's good. If you don't see it in 3D, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see a film in 3D in order for
That
it
was
to
shot
look
in
good.
3D.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, those things it's meant to be seen in 3D.
Yeah, even
Another
Amityville
example.
in 3D was ridiculous. But in 3D, it's really fun.
But like another example of like a movie that had like it was only like the climax that was in 3D, but it looks terrible now. Is Freddy's Dead: The Final
Yeah, I was
Nightmare.
I was about to say, are you
originally,
gonna bring up
the
Freddy's Dead?
actual The climax was in 3D, but no release has ever done 3D except for I think there was the original DVD release from the original '90s box set, and there was a laser disc. Those are the only two times you actually got 3D physicals of Freddy's Dead.
Were they native
Yeah.
or were they red and blue glasses?
They were red and blue, like they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, red and
you
blue.
wanted to
Yeah.
watch that in red and blue.
Yeah, even the actual reels are that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wasn't that the gimmick at the end of the movie put on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think, like I said, I think it was only that one scene with the little like. Some people who are not me call them sperm demons.
Basically,
Yeah.
basically what they are.
But yeah. Anyway, well, before we continue with some more discussion with Chris and Sam, I want to remind you all that we are part of the Arate Media Podcast Network. If you guys like what we do here on the Goosebumps Crew, be sure to go check out aratemedia.org. Not only are we there, but there's also a host of other podcasts hosted by a ton of other like-minded people like us. So please go support all those people. And if you like us, obviously support us on YouTube, Spotify, and we are now also on Apple Podcasts. So go follow us wherever you can find podcasts. And we are going to continue our Goosebumps discussion, but first, here's a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Stevie Wicks Candle Company. It's a well-known fact that everyone loves a good smelling candle every now and then. Stevie Wicks has you covered, as they specialize in quality-made scented candles. Not only do they have a large array of scents to choose from, but because Stevie Wicks candles are made from biodegradable soy-based wax, their candles burn slower and last longer. And if that wasn't enough, Stevie Wicks not only sells single and 3-wick candles, but they even sell jewelry, making Stevie Wicks a great place to get gifts for someone you know. And their monthly subscription boxes make for a gift that keeps on giving all year long. If you're a fan of Goosebumps like we are and are in the mood for some spooky smelling scents, they also have a selection for those who dabble in the supernatural, including Dragon's Blood, Witch's Brew, and Candy Corn. And Goosebumps Crew listeners have access to a very special deal. If you sign up for Stevie Wicks' monthly subscription box and use promo code LISTENERBEWARE at checkout, not only will you get 10% off your first month, but Stevie Wicks will make sure your box is filled with Halloween-themed scents, no matter the time of year. But wait, there's more. If you use promo code HAUNTED20 when purchasing your first subscription box, you'll get 20% off your first month. Or if you just want to snag something specific for yourself or a friend, you can use promo code SLAPPY10 to get 10% off any order. So what are you waiting for? Go to steviewicks.com or click the link in the description to go snag yourself some quality made candles and snag some deals with our special Goosebumps promo codes. And of course, thanks to Stevie Wicks Candle Company for sponsoring this episode. And now, back to more Goosebumps. We did talk about the upcoming masks, which are based on the books and the figures and all that. But before that, when you guys first released Goosebumps mask, you guys did based on the TV show. And those were also extremely accurate to the TV show because you had the Haunted Mask, and then you had, I believe, around the same time was the Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns one, which Nick has on display there. And those are just incredible. They match what they look like in the TV show. What was it like getting to make those?
I'm sorry?
What was the Old Man mask as well from Haunted Mask 2.
Yep.
And then the
Slappy mask. Mm-hmm.
Yep, there was a Slappy mask. So what was it like getting to make those? Because those are different designs. You're going off of the TV show instead of the books. What were those like?
Were you around then, Sam?
For my time.
Yeah, really? Yeah, I mean, Alex sculpted all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex sculpted the Haunted Mask and the Haunted Mask 2, and then...
Oh, Mark Anthony did the pumpkin. Mark Anthony from Scary Closet.
And
yeah, he's fantastic. He did your puppet behind you.
Yep.
Yeah. And he also did that mask. Yep. And he also did the one I showed you earlier. Mm-hmm. And he also did, well, it wasn't Goosebumps, but, well, no, he did the Goosebumps puppet mask. So a lot of those, the Slappy mask, that was based on the TV show. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that TV show inspired stuff really came because Mark Anthony did replicas of those puppets, and I saw them and said, wow, those are really cool. I'd love to, put out kind of like a full foam wire posable version and higher end versions. And he says, well, while I have the head, so we could also do it as a mask. So that's really how those came to be. Mm-hmm. Was really inspired by Mark Anthony.
Well, and that Slappy prop.
I saw the Slappy prop in your 2023 catalog, and I've had a lot of people, like, in the community ask about it too, but, like, it never came out for pre-order or anything again when you guys started launching Goosebumps again. So is this just a thing where, like, you guys can't do something with the TV show anymore because of the Disney Plus show?
Well, no. Yes and no. They wanted us to delay. Yeah, they wanted us to delay anything from the old show because they wanted to put they wanted in the public's mind to be more focused on the new show, but that I think was limited only for a short period of time. But yeah, I think we're gonna resubmit those, and we will probably be able to get momentum on re-releasing them.
And I remember
it was just an on hold. because, they wanted the be more focused on the new show.
The new
I kind of thought
2023
that's where that
TV
was
series.
going after you explained what happened with Sony and having to put the TV show on hold at the time as well during that period. So
Yeah, so that was just transitioning who was gonna license, and then there was also a big push on the Jack Black movie.
Mhm.
That happens a lot, right? Where they've got a new picture coming out, so they want, people to design to that and kind of put the other ones on hold for a little bit so that there's merch out in the marketplace when the show or movie debuts.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which is a shame that
fairly
they
common.
kind of do that though, because I see a lot of like when new movies come out or reboots of movies, they'll put out like a collection set of the old movies to sell. But it seems like
It depends. Yeah, it depends if it's a reboot and for the Jack Black, I think that was the first Goosebumps theatrical.
Yep.
So they were really pushing
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually
Yeah,
thought that
definitely.
movie was pretty good.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, the first
and
one,
Yeah.
I
Actually, we
never
kinda-
saw
saw the
like,
second. I saw
we actually
only-
kind of thought the second one was pretty good. A lot of people kind of crap on it, but we talked about it in a previous episode, and it's fine. I think people kind of crap on it because there's actually not much Jack Black in it.
Yeah.
In number 2, people are like, "Oh, it's a retread of the first one." It's like, not entirely. In my opinion, some things
Yeah.
it does better than the first one, but we won't get into that.
yeah. One mask I've had a lot of people talk to me about, actually what they would love to have done, is Mr. Mortman's mask from the original TV series.
That would be a
such
pretty
cool
cool
to
one.
do. Like, 'cause it's such an iconic, popular one. I've had a lot of people tell me, how cool would it be to have like a replica Mr. Mortman mask with the popping eyeballs and
Like just like a half mask.
Yeah, just the half mask. Like, that would be sick. That'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We will absolutely put it on the catch-up palooza list.
Mm-hmm.
But also,
Yeah.
yeah.
Going on
Hey,
with
I'm
that,
sure
but-
Sam's got quite a list over there. I like seeing his excitement with Goosebumps stuff. I'm sure he's got a wish list in his head as well.
No, there's
What are some things, Sam?
Yeah.
Because you're awfully quiet over there. What are some things, Sam, that you would like to hopefully see in the future for the Goosebumps line?
I mean, I'm really excited about the new masks. That really kind of has made a big. I think it's a huge leap. I mean, basically, what it was that Sony and Scholastic, they wanted us to focus on the original book series, and that as a visual language, and that's kind of really what we want to do, anyways. Because the shows are wonderful, the movies were good, but the books are that is where everybody has fallen in love with these things. And so figuring out how to translate that, Alex and I were discussing like how to do the horror again, and like as a figure, or like what would that look like, and things like that. So we're kind of exploring a lot of different options. We have a lot of different categories that we're still kind of feeling out. We're doing bags and wallets, so there will be. It may be empty when you get it, but I mean, it's you'll have a new wallet.
Yeah.
But
you could put all the money you're gonna spend on Goosebumps stuff in there.
See, my current one,
whatever is left
you guys.
afterwards.
Yeah.
That's right. It
But,
probably will be empty then. I mean, going off of that, you guys not only are making masks and figures, but you are making also like bags and magnets and wrapping paper and
The magnets are really cool.
yeah. Well, there's
And
the book covers, like full-on replicas of the book covers on a magnet, and like those are just amazing.
Ooh.
And then
We got 'em.
Bjorn's got the sealed one, and so does Nick. And
It's funny, you just reminded me I had to follow up with Sony regarding the purses. So I just sent them an email asking for an update on where we are with that.
you heard it here first, folks.
Oh, nice.
we're doing, we have 2 pins and 2 air fresheners that also are in the catalog.
Mhm.
We're going to be doing probably some keychains. we're kind of just playing around, seeing what we can do. We'll probably do some so I don't know if you guys saw any of the Ghostbuster stuff that we did this year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the
It
cool,
looks
one of
amazing.
the bigger, kind of more impactful things that I felt that we had at the show were the wall breakers.
Wall breakers.
Yes.
And so
Nice.
I want to explore doing some more with that kind of a product. And of course, there could be some opportunities there.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about a lot of different types of product lines. As far as on the collectible side, we have a lot of ideas. There's a lot of stuff that I don't want to say out loud just yet, but there is a lot of stuff that we're talking about. The one I will mention is that we are working on a new Slappy doll. So it's going to be an actual ventriloquist dummy.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
That's really cool.
So, and Alex has been working on that. So, and one of the reasons I feel comfortable talking about that is because we're using the incredible sculpture that Alex has already made for the figure and for the mask. Like, we can use that to develop a book accurate version.
Oh,
Okay,
That's
that
so
was going
cool.
to
Yeah,
be
it's
my
based on the
dream.
book.
My dream.
Which version? So,
Yeah,
Amazing.
based on the book.
very
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
so good.
That
And
was
cool.
to be honest.
and an actual ventriloquist dummy, like, wow.
Because yeah,
We'll be
Steven
ready.
Guys recently released Saw Billy Puppet. That was animatronic, and
That thing's amazing.
It's
that
so
looks
cool.
so good.
It's
I may
incredible.
as well quickly grab my Slappy.
Saw is one of my favorite horror franchises. I was day one to see Saw X, and I am anticipating Saw 11. But that Billy puppet,
It just
I'm
got
very
greenlit.
tempted to. Yep,
They just greenlit it. Yeah.
yep. So I'm very tempted to get that that Billy puppet.
It's really cool. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
got
really
it's got Tobin Bell's actual voice.
Oh, that's really
Even
cool.
better. Oh man, yeah. But I'm so excited for a book accurate Slappy doll. Like that's
Yeah.
incredible.
There was
But
a lot of rumor going around about one of those, and I was like, I'll be sure to ask, see if they can answer anything about that, because I was really hoping that was true.
once again, filling the dreams of all those '90s Goosebumps fans right now.
I'm telling you.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I actually
As much
want
as
to talk
love
a little bit
talking,
about.
with you about other stuff, Chris, when I meet you at conventions and stuff. Like the first thing I always ask is about Goosebumps, so it always excites me when
What you
something
working on
new
now?
comes about and what you guys are working on.
This is my buddy.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's a really cool one.
Yeah, did a
That's
good
incredible.
job.
My Slappy, I have a. It's funny that I have that now because before we hopped on, we were talking about the rarity of the Slappy prop now. Because you go online and people are selling them for like $500. I was lucky enough to get mine when it was like $250, I think. It was at the time it was the largest thing I ever paid for with my own money, so I felt really proud of myself upon arrival. But I remember I got like the big box, and I came home from school one day and I saw the big box and I opened it up and there he is, and I'm just like, this is amazing. And I have him propped up right there, watching all over everything. People walk in my room, they're like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "That's my buddy Slappy."
The guy that makes this one is on Instagram. His name's Cesar Ramirez, and he's fantastic. Like he's actually building me he's trying to build me a more Night of the Living Dummy 2 accurate Slappy because he looked very different in the second one to the third one. So yeah, he's working on that at the moment, but he just pumps them out like crazy. It's insane.
And I also want to talk really quick about around the same time that the TV show Mask came out, there was actually also some Vacuform masks. There was two. There was Slappy and the Haunted Mask. And Bjorn, you showed earlier the box set that comes with the Vacuform mask and comes with, I believe it was the Fright Rags t-shirt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a pretty cool package to get your guys' mask and the Fright Rag shirt both together in a really cool looking package. But those Vacuform masks were pretty neat, and at the time they were the most book accurate. But now you have the vinyl ones, which look even more so.
They're in the new catalog, aren't they?
Yep, they still.
Yep.
They're still there.
Yeah.
And they're pretty neat. I mean,
they're pretty sweet for $12.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean the Haunted Mask one looks really, really cool. And then
Yeah, I like
got
the
my
Slappy
one right
a
up
lot.
there.
Yeah, I like the Slappy one a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they look really cool. But I just remember seeing that original line of mask and just being blown away. And I was like, I gotta have the Haunted Mask. Like that was the one I was gotta be like, if I have to have any of them, it's gotta be that one.
Yeah,
But,
that one looks more like the book cover for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So the question I have with the masks that are coming out, like the Slappy one in particular, I see like you guys have glow in the dark features on some of the other masks. Are you guys planning on doing Slappy's eyes as glow in the dark, or is that going to be kind of like a maybe down the road scenario with like the puppet or anything else?
No, I mean we were gonna try to probably do some kind of glow in the dark element on those masks. I think that Curly is the one that lends himself the best to the kind of glow vinyl color.
Mm-hmm.
So that ends up being kind of like an off-white, bone-ish, kind of a little bit more green, but that kind of family. We were talking about doing that, and we were talking about doing the haunted mask as a glow mask. But I'm a sucker for glow in the dark, so anything that I can make.
So am I. That's why I had to ask.
Absolutely. No, that'd be really cool if the Curly would have like the glow in the dark white. Like that would be pretty neat. Or even like make the hair glow in the dark. I don't know. That could be kind of cool.
Curly seems to be more like a black light kind of mask to me, almost like
Yeah.
just with these color features and stuff. I think it would really
I mean,
pop in a black
it's
light.
tricky with glow in the dark because sometimes it doesn't translate as well when it's not glowing.
Right.
Some of the but yeah, I agree with Sam. I think that Curly will work because of the bone color. We did that with the glow skull, the Dawn Post 1967 glow skull, which was used in Halloween 3. That does glow in the dark this year.
That's
in
really
fact, we
cool.
have all three of them glowing in the dark.
That's awesome.
And believe it or not, the original skull and the witch were vinyl. The only one that was latex was Smiling Jack the pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I
this is-
think I remember
this
that
is-
was like the
One of our finished new vinyl masks.
Ooh, Toxic Avenger.
That's cool.
Yeah, that line is amazing as well, especially the figures. I love the packaging.
Like,
But
but this is what the finished one will look like. But he's actually glow in the dark vinyl.
Oh, nice.
yeah, it looks really good too.
And here I'll show you the kind of plastic insert that these come with. It's just a clear vacuum form.
Vacuum form.
Oh,
Okay.
that's amazing. I
So it
love
just kinda
that.
helps hold the front shape of like the face, so
Mhm.
that it won't warp and transit
Mhm.
like that. And so all the Goosebumps ones will have that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah,
One,
I
Yeah,
actually have
that's
a
a
question
nice
for
extra
Sam.
figure.
I have a question for Sam because he's kind of the diehard Goosebumps fan. Are there any specific monsters that you would love to have in future masks or action figures based on the book covers?
I don't know. That's tough. The Mummy was really the one that I'm like the most excited about.
mm-hmm.
I think
I like the mud monster.
The Mud
Mud
Monster's
Monster's
so
pretty
cool.
cool.
The mask and the
I always
figure.
thought Creature Teacher would be a good one.
That would be an
Yeah.
amazing
Show
mask.
some- yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you start
I
breaking
gotta-
into Series 2000, Bjorn might lose his shit.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And I
I do Series
also
2000, but yeah.
yeah, that one would be cool. Creature Teacher would be really cool. I
Well,
kind of
like-
like the dude the you don't see its face, so I don't know if we could how we would translate it, but I always liked that look of the Curse of the Camp Cold Lake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be a really
Oh,
cool
yeah.
one too.
But you don't see the bottom, so I don't know how we would be able to.
I mean, you could do like almost like a diorama kind of thing where it's like a base of water and you just have the head poking out of it with like some trees in the background or something like that. That'd be cool.
Could be interesting. I think it'd be
I
pretty
gotta
cool
get
to
a
have
buddy.
like a
Yeah, the water could sit on the shoulders. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The figure that Alex and I were trying to figure out a way to do was the Ghost Beach cover.
Oh, that'd be really
That'd be
cool.
awesome.
One of my favorite covers.
I mean,
That
so
is
you
a
can't
great
go along
one.
with like a hooded specter, but we were trying to figure out how we could make that possibly.
I would love to see like either the Lord High Executioner, he would be really cool from Night Terror Tower, or like the Creep from one of the Creeps from Calling All Creeps. Like I would love those.
Bjorn would really like
I need him.
Camp Jelly Jam.
I need him.
Yeah. No, again, like being able to do like the Tim Jacobus art leads to so many possibilities. So hopefully we can see more. I'd be remiss if, and this is not Goosebumps, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say I love the Scooby-Doo masks.
Well,
Because
thanks.
I'm a
You're
diehard.
just talking about those today.
I'm a diehard Scooby-Doo fan. I just saw that you guys have the Witch Doctor, that mask, and that looks
It's great. It's
incredible.
my favorite. Yeah, the Tiki Towel.
Yeah, Manu Tiki Tia, I think they called it in the
Tiki
episode.
Tia, yeah, sorry.
And then you have the creeper and the zombie, and I do have the Frankenstein monster one. It's in my closet. I can't get it right now,
yeah,
but
that
I do
one's
have
cool.
that.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
like the
love those.
werewolf one a lot too.
Mhm.
The
Well,
purple one.
The great thing is because you're translating them from the cartoon, but they also like have that aspect of realism to them. So it's like what they would look like if they actually like were in real life, and they just so good. I actually was
Yeah.
tempted to go as the
Scooby-Doo's-
creeper one year.
For Scooby-Doo stuff, I would love to see like you guys translate some of the monsters from like Mystery Incorporated, like that show. Some of those monster designs are awesome, and I would love to see masks of those.
Yeah.
I love that show so much.
It's a great show.
It's
Or even
fantastic.
some of the movies like Zombie Island or something like that, or the aliens from Alien Invaders.
Yeah, or like the Werecats or the zombies from Zombie Island, or
Yeah. No, I needed to mention
Those
because
possibilities of Scooby Doo.
you got over 50 years worth of content there.
That's for sure.
yeah.
But no, I needed to mention that because again, I remember when the Scooby-Doo line came out, and I was just like, yes, I love Scooby-Doo. So
Yeah,
no,
we want everybody other companies always focused on the gang, and we always wanted to do the villains. So
well, yeah, the villains are people in masks, so it's like,
Yeah.
why not
It's perfect.
be the person in the mask? Like, it was always a mystery, huh? A mystery to me why they did focus on just the Scooby Gang and not any of the monsters. But
well,
no.
probably thinking the kids would want to dress up as them. But what I found is a lot of the kids dress up as the gang, and the parents dress up as the villains. And take them trick-or-treating.
Yeah,
I've seen it a
that
lot.
makes sense.
That is a pretty cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But
So on the top of Mask, like I know with like the TV show version of the Haunted Mask, it ran a little small for a lot of people in terms of fit. So with the vinyl masks, like what kind of like I guess head circumference would that typically fit? Like, is it going to be 24-inch maybe or 23? Do you guys have like a
Definitely larger than the other haunted masks.
I will say back when I first got it, it was a little easier to put on, but now I tried putting on that mask and I was like, it's feeling a little tight.
It's meant to be. That's the
It
whole
is.
point.
Yeah, it's hard. It's supposed to be hard to take off.
Yeah, it was supposed to be tight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The more
because
you
I
put it
remember
on-
this past Halloween, in my local Spirit Halloween, I went there and I actually found the TV show Haunted Mask on display. So it was really cool to like be able to see that.
Oh,
like,
the latex
try it on
version.
and
Yeah, they
stuff,
carry
like,
that. They carried it. And I think they're going to carry it again this year too.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it's nice to see more Trick or Treat Studio stuff in Spirit, because Spirit obviously they're known for like kind of the cheap boys stuff of costuming and masks and stuff, but see actually like quality stuff in there, and it's always the first stuff.
I mean, they order a ton of our stuff. The problem is that it usually is gone in the first week.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. By the time I get
That's
to
what I'm
Spirit
saying, like,
Halloween,
most of
because they never have any, at least from what I hear, they never have any like drop dates of like, this is when this Spirit Halloween opens. So by the time I find out that a Spirit Halloween is open and I get there, most of the Trick or Treat Studio stuff is gone.
Well, they're starting really early now. Now they're starting, late to mid-August.
Yeah.
A lot of the I guess what I would call them, like they're like superstores. They're the ones that they run.
The Christmas
It's a
effect.
franchise model. So
Yeah,
they're all
they
franchise.
Yeah, they have like flagship stores in every state.
That's what I meant, flagship. Thank
Yeah,
There's
but I'll
one,
find
yeah.
like the Michael Myers masks in there too, and they'll be there next to like the spirit ones, and you can tell the jump in quality.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes Spirit will have a good mask here and there, but they're very far in between. But no, I guess I'll to
Very
close
expensive
things
rubies.
to close things out. Just say that we love your guys' work, and seriously,
Oh, thanks.
keep it up. Like, we are super ecstatic to see not only future Goosebumps stuff, but just anything that comes from you guys, and just keep it up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, that's what we do it for people who are really like and are passionate and cool fans. So
Absolutely.
And I think that's
Thank you.
one thing that's successful with you guys too is you do it because you're fans yourselves.
true.
So it's not like, to throw the Disney Plus show back out there, who people who wrote that, you can tell, were not fans of Goosebumps. They were just writers who might have got excerpts from certain books and said, "Oh, we'll take this out of there. That's cool," but nothing else.
Yeah.
You guys, though, everything you guys touch is because you're fans.
Yep.
So
Yeah, well, Justin, Sam, and I always like to say that we wouldn't ship anything that we wouldn't want in our own collection. So I
Yep.
still stick to that.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
and they're
What you guys have done for the community, for the Goosebumps community, like, we're forever grateful. Honestly, like, we've been waiting for this for such a long time, and yeah, finally
Well,
it's
it's
happened.
our
So
pleasure, and we absolutely appreciate the love and support.
Yep, and we appreciate you joining us tonight for this episode of Goosebumps Crew. If you guys want to follow with Trick or Treat Studios, of course you can go to trickortreatstudios.com. They're also available on Instagram and Twitter, so you can go follow their accounts on there. That's where you guys usually post some previews and some clips from the conventions and the trade shows you guys go to. So if you guys want to check out what Trick or Treat Studios is up to, go follow them over there. And Chris, Sam, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight and talking with us.
Yeah, cool, brother. Thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you. And of course, follow all of my Goosebumps cohorts as usual. Bjorn Pan with Goosebumps Oxyfan, Nick Shawshaw, Micah, the ultimate Goosebumps man. And of course, give us a sub over here at the Goosebumps channel if you want to keep up with future episodes of the Goosebumps Crew Podcast and other Goosebumps videos. Next week, we have a real special treat for you, because not only are we going to be looking back on another Goosebumps episode, Attack of the Mutant, but we're going to have the masked mutant himself, Scott Wickware, joining us to talk a little bit about that episode. So you guys are going to want to give us a sub and tune in for that episode next week. But until then, for all of us here at the Goosebumps Crew Podcast, I want to wish you all to have a very scary day.